Alright, what's up guys? Blood Moon Bobby here, and the Nintendo Direct, the latest one, just happened. And overall, I thought it was pretty good, not amazing, but for a March Nintendo Direct, it's not coming around the same time as E3 or Christmas. I thought it was pretty good, with a couple of surprises actually, but for this Nintendo Direct, rather than going game by game by game, I decided to break down the announcements down into sort of categories. We'll get to individual games, a few of them in a second, but let's actually, instead of talking about each individual game, let's break it down into three subjects. So what I'm going to break it down into is Nintendo 3DS games, then we'll get into the games that caught my attention, and then we'll talk about Smash Brothers at the very end. And so I'm not going to be talking about games like what was that one, like Sushi Striker, or there was a new game in the Dylan's Rolling Western series. Those don't really catch my attention. Don't really have more to say other than it's not my cup of teas. But if you like those games, obviously feel free to purchase them when they become available. And also, if I just talked about every game, I would not be giving you a reason to go read the announcements on Nintendo's website or any other video game news outlets. So let's start with Nintendo 3DS games. And so let me just start off by saying that I have nothing against the 3DS. I really like the system. I still remember getting the 3DS on launch day. I was waiting outside my local GameStop, and I had a really good time with it. Had some really amazing games like Pilot Wings Resort, the port of Metal Gear Solid 3. There was also Kirby Triple Deluxe and Super Smash Brothers for 3DS. Just so many games that, aren't coming to me right now, but they were really amazing. And every now and then I still play the 3DS. It's just my biggest problem I'm having with this Nintendo Direct announcement is I'm really surprised with some of the big announcements that the 3DS is still getting some really big games that are coming. Not just the Dylan's Rolling Western game. And Detective Pikachu, I could understand that coming to 3DS because that was released on 3DS in other territories first. But games like Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, which it makes sense on 3DS, but why is that game coming out in 2019? Like, is Nintendo still going to be pushing out some pretty big names in 2019, or is this going to be like the swan song of the 3DS? That, and also, I'm really glad they're bringing WarioWare, but I would much prefer playing WarioWare on something like the Switch. Like, it could have been the much more fun version of 1-2 Switch, but it's coming out for 3DS in the form of WarioWare Gold. And honestly, because the Switch has the motion-sensitive Joy-Cons, and, and there's many ways to play, like you could even play with the buttons and the touchscreen, I would have wanted a new WarioWare game on Switch. I think there's much more opportunities there than putting it on a 3DS. And then the Luigi's Mansion port that's coming to 3DS, it just really confuses me because we had Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon come out on 3DS. I mean, good game, although I found it kind of hard. But it's like, why are we going from new game to port of the original? Like, I think that's just weird. If we're going to bring, like, the original Luigi's Mansion back, I would have liked to have seen it on the Switch, because I just think it's really, weird chronologically, and also, like, I could see a Luigi's Mansion port coming out on 3DS, like, when it first launched, like, as one of the launch titles. But now, it's just so weird to see. Like, in my opinion, anytime there's, like, a remaster or port on any console, including, like the PS4 and Xbox One, I always feel those kind of games would make much better launch titles than games that come out towards the end of the life cycle. So I don't know, it's just really weird. I'm not like, really mad or anything. It's just I'm really surprised that Nintendo is still putting out some big releases on the 3DS. And now let's get to some of the individual games that were either announced or we were reminded that are coming out. So Dark Souls Remastered is still coming out in May, and it's getting its own amiibo. An interesting thing, Dark Souls Remastered is the game that's going to make my friend Steven Shin, who you see do the Butterfly Show with me, he's gonna get a Switch just to play Dark Souls Remastered, like because he wants to play it on the go. So I think that's amazing that they are bringing at least the first Dark Souls. I would have liked to have seen the entire Dark Souls trilogy, but it is good that they are bringing the first game to Switch, and I'll probably get my ass kicked because I am not good at playing these really sort of hard games. And I've heard from lots of people that Dark Souls is really tough as nails. Next game, Captain Treasure Tracker. The funny thing was when Treasure Tracker first came out for the Wii U, I didn't really find it interesting. Like, I just saw it as kind of a mini game. But after playing the levels, like Treasure Tracker was inspired by those Captain Toad mini games that were in Super Mario 3D Land, and I played a couple of them in Super Mario 3D Land, and I think it's actually really fun. So I might actually pick that up because those mini games aren't in Super Mario Odyssey. So I might actually pick that up. I kind of wish it wasn't like a full $60 game. Like, I kind of want it to be released for $30 at the very most, especially since this is a port of a Wii U game. So, but regardless, I'm still sure it's going to be a really fun game, and they are putting in new levels that were inspired by Super Mario 3D World. Undertale, which I don't know too much about that game other than I see my sister play it. It's like an RPG, and it creeps me out, especially that flowery character. But I know it's a really big game. Unfortunately, they just said that the game is coming out literally, and I quote, eventually. So we're not going to be seeing that come out. I mean, I'm hopefully since it was released on the PC previously, it'll be released, like maybe later this year, maybe at the absolute latest, sometime in early 2019. But it is really good that they are bringing this popular game over to Switch. And here's one of probably the second biggest surprise, although I'm not too surprised a game of this franchise is coming back to Nintendo, and that is South Park: The Fractured Butthole. It's the game where the South Park characters dress up as superheroes, and it's an RPG. And honestly, I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, South Park on the Nintendo system, what the hell? And I'm just like, you remember that South Park was on the Nintendo 64? And so, but regardless of that, I am really glad that Ubisoft is giving the Switch another chance. I mean, I'm pretty sure they had some success with Mario and Rabbids, so they're like, hey, let's bring another one of our AAA games to the Switch, and instead of Assassin's Creed, which, I'm kind of bummed out, but then again, Assassin's Creed hasn't had the best reputation as of late. They decided to bring South Park: The Fractured Butthole. So that's one of the games on this list. I probably shouldn't say that, but it is definitely a game that I would so want to pick up. Like, I'm not gonna lie, of the games that I mentioned, it's probably the one that I want to pick up the most so far. We'll get into the next really exciting game that Nintendo announced in this direct. And that next game is, and this was a really big surprise. I remember just when I saw the announcement for this last game, my jaw dropped. Actually, before I get into it, I should say this direct spent a lot of time talking about Mario Tennis Aces and the new Splatoon DLC, and I thought that went on a little bit too long. I mean, and just saying, not angry or anything, but I thought that went a little too long. Those two games are just not my cup of tea, but yeah. The last game that really, I think, interested pretty much everybody that watched the Direct was the announcement that they're bringing a Super Smash Bros. Game for Switch. And my jaw dropped when I saw that announcement. And so far, we don't know too much about the game other than it looks like the Inkling kids from Splatoon, Mario, and Link. And the Link that's going to be in this game is the Link design that we saw in Breath of the Wild. And that game is going to be coming out in 2018. And so I recently heard that Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of Smash Brothers and the director of all the games up until now, is coming back. Since he has tendonitis in his shoulder, I know I watched Gaming Historian's video on Smash Brothers, and Sakurai said he's not sure if he's going to be coming back to direct another Smash Brothers game. So if he decides not to because of the tendonitis in the shoulder, I would be totally cool with him being like a producer. I don't want him to be just a creative consultant because as we've seen, the creative consultant job is, it's a beautiful loophole because it's basically just a job where, you're just being asked, is this what that's supposed to be part of Smash Brothers? Is this okay? Yes, yes, no, yes. I mean, no, 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 no. I want Sakurai to be more involved. It's just maybe directing, maybe asking a little bit too much for him to do. So, um, the other thing about Smash Brothers, I am a little concerned that they are just going to port over the Wii U version since they are announcing this game is coming out in 2018. And I'm pretty sure Nintendo knows that, like, everybody knows that it takes a long time for Smash to come out. I mean, a perfect example is, like, when you look at, like, Smash for Wii U and 3DS, that was announced in 2011, but we didn't get the game until 2014. So it's really weird. Maybe that the new Smash Brothers was in development ever since the Wii U version was finished, and they didn't want to tell us because the Switch wasn't announced until like the end of 2016, and they didn't want to release all their eggs from one basket, so they've kept it a secret for that long. But I am hoping it is a new game, and especially since I don't know about you guys, but I was kind of disappointed in Smash Brothers for Wii U. I thought it was just it just felt like a port of Smash Brothers Brawl with new features. So I really hope they really do try to add new things, because when Brawl came out, it was such an ambitious new game. I mean, it's not my favorite of the Smash Brothers games. My personal favorite to this day remains Melee on the GameCube. But with Brawl, you could customize a lot of things. You could, make your own stages. You could listen to music from all these stages. I still listen to them from time to time on my iPhone, and you could also play games from, like these demo versions of games from the past. They had the Subspace Emissary. It was just one big amazing game. So I would really like to see, at least for the next Smash Brothers, I wish they would put some kind of campaign back in. Like, I know they didn't want to put it into Smash Brothers Wii U because, people will upload the cutscenes online, but I feel like, a lot of people, especially the diehard fans, are still going to play through the campaign. They're not just going to watch, the cutscenes online. They still want to play it, just like I am. I mean, I know there's people out there that do it like that, but there's still plenty of people that still want to play the game. Like, not everybody plays a game just to hear a story. Like, I may be a person who's very plot-centric when it comes to movies, but when it comes to video games, what's way more important to me is the gameplay. So, I really hope Nintendo reconsiders putting in a campaign. Then and also, I thought the classic mode, and there goes my phone, in Smash Brothers for Wii U was really weird, like, in terms of the progression, like how you had a very limited time to pick what your next stage was going to be. I wish it was all like, basically all automated, just like the classic modes in the first three Smash Brothers games was, the one on the Nintendo 64, the one in Melee, and the one in Brawl. They were all like automated. So, and also, I mean, I know, I believe the classic mode in Smash Bros. Wii used to let you get trophies, but there were still fun things to do, especially in the classic mode in Melee. Like in Melee, in between the fights, you would get, the break the target stage, and you would also get the race to the finish. I don't know why, I always thought race to the finish was always kind of fun. So, I just like to see, basically a lot more effort and a lot more cool things put into the next Smash Brothers, rather than just make it, hey, let's make it an HD Smash Brothers with 8 players, and we'll throw in Bayonetta and Cloud and the Duck Hunt dog and the duck itself. So yeah, I'm just hoping this new Smash Brothers production, and the fact that it's coming in 2018, like I said before, it is making me a little nervous that it's just going to be Super Smash Brothers for the Nintendo Switch and not much else. I mean, if they have to delay the game to 2019, I honestly will be okay with that, and I'm even expecting that with how it takes years to make these Smash Brothers games. I mean, the time between when they announced Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS in 2011, when development didn't even start, and when they released it in 2014, 3 years later, I think many of us can wait. So that's how I feel. I am excited that a Smash Brothers game is coming to Switch. I just hope it's going to be a much more ambitious game than the one for Wii U. So that's really about it. As far as the games at the Nintendo Direct that interested me, I thought it was a pretty good Nintendo Direct. I could have used a couple more third-party announcements, but I was really glad with what we got. I mean, I didn't mention that Crash Bandicoot is coming to Switch, but I know a lot of people are excited about that. One game I am a little concerned about is Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, and I actually rewatched the segment from the September Nintendo Direct when they first announced Wolfenstein for the Switch, and they did say available 2018. They didn't clarify if it was coming out in early 2018 or something like that. But I would much prefer, especially since it's going to be a port of like the PS4 or the Xbox One version, I really wish that this game would come out a little earlier, especially since now that, it just won the Best Action Game Award at the Game Awards. So it makes more sense to get the game out, especially since it's a port when, the game is still fresh in a lot of people's minds. And I really feel like if Wolfenstein 2 comes out for Switch and it's a really good game, I think it would really help convince third parties that, hey, the Switch is more capable than you think. You can bring, your Call of Duty. You can bring your Assassin's Creed over to Switch. I wouldn't play Call of Duty, but I would really like to try out Assassin's Creed. So that's pretty much it. I know people like Rich from Review Tech USA are concerned that, Wolfenstein 2 is a newer game, so I don't know if it's going to perform well. I have a lot, since Panic Button is doing this port. They're the same guys who did the port for Doom on the Switch. And even though Doom on the Switch was a little laggy and it didn't have the Snap Map feature, it was still a really fun game. It's still one of my favorite games to play on the Switch, even though I think it's really hard, but I suck at first-person shooters, so that's why. So, yeah, I'm really hoping that, Wolfenstein... I have a lot of faith in this game, and I really can't wait for it to come to Switch. So I know I often say I would rather have a game delayed than have it come out right now, and I definitely respect that with Wolfenstein, but I feel that if at least Panic Button, Machine Games, and Bethesda kept us more up to date, then I would have a little more faith, because then it just feels like when Watch Dogs was coming out for the Wii U and there wasn't much hype or advertising. We just found out that not all the DLC was coming and it didn't take much advantage of the Wii U gamepad. So some more communication would be nice. I'm not saying announce everything, but just, maybe keep us posted on how development is going. Not just have one person interviewing that's saying, Panic Button is doing this, so it'll be amazing. So, but other than that, I thought it was a pretty good Nintendo Direct. It's got some really cool games that are coming out. Smash Brothers, Dark Souls Remaster, and the WarioWare game. If it had a couple more announcements, I would have been more satisfied. But as is, I thought it was a pretty good Nintendo Direct. I guess as for the bigger announcements, we'll just have to wait until E3 2018. So optimistically, I guess you could say they're just gonna hold up surprises and they're gonna announce the really big stuff at E3. So, all right, guys, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thanks for watching. Hey guys, this has been a Blood Moon Bobby video. Please like this video or dislike it, and please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.